All right. So, as I intro this topic, you probably want to go ahead and log in your computers and get PyCharm open. That should be sort of standard practice as we do each lecture, because there's going to be times where I'm gonna prompt you to code along with me or to try things out for a minute. Um, so it's a lot better if you are just sort of ready to go as far as that goes. So anyhow, so we're going to talk about strings quite a bit today. That's going to be mostly what we focus on. And assignment two focuses on string manipulation. But there's a lot of things you can do with strings. Now, remember I told you a string is seen by Python as basically a collection of characters. That's it. It's a collection of characters that always stays in the same order. And it's as simple as that. The order of the characters doesn't change. Now, we see a string, a lot of times we see it as a name or a sentence or something like that. Python doesn't understand names or sentences because it's a programming language. All it sees is a sequence of characters or a collection of characters that's in a certain order. And so Python will allow us to do certain things to strings that are useful in terms of writing programs. And these are called string methods. Now, a string method, last time we talked about functions, right? We talked about the print function, and we talked about the input function, and we talked about the type function. So those are all functions that we've talked about. Functions, you can sit anywhere. Functions are commands, basically, in Python that either do something or return something. That ringing a bell for anybody in here? We've talked about that. So a function either returns something or does something. And functions belong to Python. They're just part of the programming language. Now, a method is very similar to a function. A method can do something or return something, just like a function can. But instead of belonging to Python in general, a method actually belongs to a specific type of object in Python, meaning it uses that object as the basis or the context for what it does. This makes sense as I get into it. For example, str.upper, you can see here, starts out with str. That would represent a string variable, okay? So it would represent any string. So if I write string str.upper, what do you think that does if you just had to guess? Yeah, it changes the string to all uppercase letters. You came in just in time. So if I take that, and you can follow along with me if you'd like, what I like to do when I'm just messing around in PyCharm is I'll create a file, a script file called like junk.py or scratch.py or just some name like that I know this isn't like a real program that I'm writing. It's just for messing around. But you can decide. I often have several different files like this floating around in my folders, and I can just tell by how I name it that if I throw it away or overwrite it, it's not a big deal. So let's say I have str name, and let's say I set that to William. Now, you can see, we don't need that help, thank you, AI. You can see here that William is a string because it's surrounded by double quotes. You know that it's a name. Python doesn't know what a name is, like I said, but it has a sequence of characters. A capital W, lowercase I, lowercase l, lowercase I, lowercase a, lowercase m. In that order. Every time I print that str name, it will print the same thing. The order of that as long as I'm running the correct file here, the order of that sequence will never change. Now, a method, the upper method of the string class, would be used on this if I do this, strname.upper. Now what that does is it returns that string with every letter changed to an uppercase letter. Now, because it is a return something method, it doesn't actually change strname. Watch this. If I print strname after I do this, notice that it still says William, capitalized only the first letter. The reason is I'm not changing strname. What I'm doing is I'm taking this and I'm returning the uppercase version of that. So I have to do something with that. Remember, after you eat dinner, if there's leftovers on the table, you either got to eat them or you got to save them for later. Otherwise, they're going to go bad. Same thing with a return something. If you don't save it in a variable, put it in a Tupperware, right? Or eat it right away, like do something like print it out, it goes bad. So if I want to, I could say print that. And now you can see it's printing. The thing that this returns gets printed out, all uppercase. And then it prints strname, which is still the same case it was originally. So if I want to change, let's say I want to actually change the thing that's in strname to an uppercase string, I can do something called self-assignment, which basically means that I do this. What I'm saying in line 3 here is take the thing that is in strname, which is the sequence of letters that spells William. Take that, run the uppercase method against it, which returns the uppercase William, and then put it back into that same container. So you're going to take something out of the container, do something with it, put it back in the same container, which replaces what's already there. So now when I print this, when I run this code, all it's going to do is print all uppercase William. So that's self-assignment. And that's nice because then I don't have to do like more variables, because now I have 2 variables that both say William, one's uppercase, one's not. Unless I need both of those, that's kind of a waste of time. Then I have, if I do this with everything, I end up 3 or 4 times as many variables in my program, which it doesn't hurt Python any, but it will confuse me after a while. And everybody's got limits. So if I print that, strname upper, now if I just print strname, you can see that it's still the original case. So that is how a string method works.